Most people buying a camper van in 2026 are going to make the same mistake. They'll pick the van that looks best in someone else's YouTube video, not the one that actually works for their life. And that mistake can cost $15,000 within the first year. In the next few moments, I'm going to show you exactly which camper vans are worth your money for full-time living in 2026, and which ones are going to cost you far more than the sticker price within 18 months. We're covering USA and European markets, real reliability data, total cost of ownership, and the one van that almost nobody talks about, but that experienced full-timers keep quietly buying. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. The Full-Time Filter. Why most vans fail this test. Here's the thing nobody tells you before you buy. There's a massive difference between a van that's great for weekend trips and a van that can handle 365 days a year of actual living. Casual buyers look at layout, bed size, and how good the kitchen looks in photos. Full-timers eventually learn to look at three completely different things: chassis durability under continuous load, electrical system scalability, and service network density, meaning can you actually get it fixed when something goes wrong in rural Montana or southern Spain? Most vans fail at least one of these. Some fail all three. I've spoken to owners who spent $200,000 on a van they now deeply regret because the layout looked stunning online but became genuinely frustrating after 2 months of living inside it full-time. The bed setup ate their evenings, the tanks filled in 2 days. The things that looked like minor inconveniences in a YouTube tour became daily friction that slowly wore them down. The camper van market in 2026 has exploded. There are more options than ever, which sounds like good news, but it actually makes this harder because there are more beautifully marketed vans with serious structural weaknesses than at any point in history. Manufacturers know buyers are making emotional decisions. They're designing for Instagram, not for kilometer 80,000. So before we get into specific models, here's the filter I want you to run every van through. Can this van handle 25,000 miles per year for 5 years without becoming a financial liability? That's the full-time standard, not a weekend standard, not a 2-week holiday standard, full-time. If a van can't pass that filter, it doesn't matter how beautiful the interior is. And one of the most popular vans on this list right now, a van that's sold out in multiple markets, quietly fails this test in a way that's going to catch a lot of buyers completely off guard. I'll get to that in a few minutes. Chapter 2. Chassis Showdown. Sprinter versus Transit versus ProMaster. Before we name specific models, the chassis is 70% of your decision. Get it wrong, and you're not buying a van, you're buying a payment plan for problems. Let's break down the 3 platforms that matter for full-time living in 2026. The Mercedes Benz Sprinter with the OM654 engine, the 2.0-liter unit that replaced the older OM251, is still the benchmark. Better emissions compliance, improved fuel efficiency, and fewer of the injector and particulate filter issues that plagued earlier generations. Real-world loaded highway figures sit around 17 to 19 mpg. The resale case is real. Sprinter-based conversions hold value better than almost anything else in this category. The downside is equally real. When something breaks in rural Montana, you're looking at a long tow to a specialist shop charging Mercedes-level labor rates. It wins on durability, but only if you can absorb the service cost structure. The Ford Transit High Roof Extended is the van that serious full-timers keep choosing once they run the actual numbers. Wider interior than most buyers realize, all-wheel is solid, and Ford dealers exist from California to Germany. Transit-based conversions run roughly 30% cheaper to own and maintain than Sprinter equivalents over 5 years. That's not a small number. That's the difference between 2 years of fuel costs. The V6 returns 15 to 19 mpg loaded. Honest figures. The chassis is less prestigious and significantly more practical. The Ram ProMaster, Fiat Ducato-based, built under Stellantis for North America, is the budget disruptor. Lowest floor in the segment, genuine 6'4" standing room without ceiling modifications, and front-wheel drive that handles snow better than its reputation suggests. The 2026 models come with improved lithium-ready electrical prep that makes it a serious option for cost-conscious buyers. One critical caveat: Avoid pre-2024 ProMasters for full-time use. The fresh and gray water tank sizes on earlier builds were genuinely inadequate for extended off-grid living. The 2024 refresh addressed this directly. If you're looking at used, that year is your floor. Bottom line on chassis, the Transit is the right call for 80% of full-time buyers. It balances cost, service access, and living space without the Sprinter's prestige tax or the ProMaster's off-road limitations. Chapter 3. The Mercedes Benz Sprinter, still the baseline, but read the fine print. The Sprinter-based conversion from a reputable builder remains the gold standard for full-time living, with conditions that are more important than they've ever been. The diesel Sprinter 144 and 170 wheelbases are the conversion platform of choice for serious full-timers in both the USA and Europe. The platform is proven, the parts supply chain is deep, and conversion builders know exactly how to work with it. When you buy a Sprinter-based conversion from a reputable builder, you're not taking a risk on an untested chassis. That reliability is worth real money over 5 years. But here's where it gets complicated. Mercedes introduced the e-Sprinter electric variant, and it's being pushed hard in the European market in 2026. The range figures sound acceptable on paper, around 300 kilometers under ideal conditions. In reality, with a fully loaded conversion, running climate control and doing actual highway distances, you're looking at significantly less. For full-time travel, the e-Sprinter is not ready. It is a van for urban last-mile delivery, not cross-continent living. If a dealer in Europe is steering you toward the electric platform and you're planning full-time travel, walk away. Quality Sprinter-based conversions in the USA start around $85,000 to $120,000 for quality builds, or $75,000 to €110,000 in Europe, depending on the builder. Chapter 4. Ford Transit, the underdog that deserves more credit. The Ford Transit doesn't get the glamour of the Sprinter. What it gets is something more useful, a brutally practical, parts-everywhere platform that is significantly easier to maintain across North America and increasingly across Europe. If your van is your home, downtime isn't just inconvenient, it's expensive and potentially dangerous. Every night you're stuck waiting for a specialist part is a night you're paying for a hotel or sleeping in a broken vehicle. The Transit Service Network advantage isn't a minor convenience, it's a full-time living insurance policy. The Transit's one genuine weakness is interior dimensions. It's marginally narrower than the Sprinter, which matters on a full-time build, where every inch of storage is earned space. A good conversion builder can work around this, but go in with eyes open. Transit-based conversions in the USA start around $65,000 to $90,000 for quality builds, a meaningful cost advantage that deserves to be part of your decision, not an afterthought. Now here's where I want to challenge something most van content gets completely wrong. There is a category of van that gets massive YouTube attention, enormous wait lists, and is quietly producing some of the unhappiest full-time owners in 2026, and it might be sitting at the top of your list right now.
Chapter 5. The Controversial Insight: Why the Most Desired Van Right Now is the Wrong Choice for Full-Timers. The Winnebago Revel gets enormous attention, and on paper, it deserves it. 4x4 capability on the Sprinter AWD chassis, a genuinely clever layout, and a brand name that carries real weight. In the USA market, it's one of the most searched van models going into 2026. Here's the problem. The Revel is an adventure van designed for intermittent, intense use. It is not engineered for continuous full-time habitation. Freshwater capacity is constrained. The electrical system, while capable for weekend use, requires significant aftermarket upgrades for year-round living. The Sprinter 4x4 chassis adds mechanical complexity and dramatically increases maintenance costs. The portal axles that give it ground clearance are expensive to service and require specialists. I'm not saying the Revel is a bad van. I'm saying it's the wrong van for full-time living if you're not regularly going deep off-road. And statistically, most people who buy it for full-time use spend less than 15% of their nights in locations that actually required 4x4 capability. You're paying a premium in purchase price, in fuel economy, in maintenance for a capability you'll use occasionally. The Airstream Interstate has the same issue from a different angle. Airstream's brand carries enormous emotional weight. The Interstate is a beautiful vehicle. It is also one of the highest depreciation, highest maintenance options in its class, and its layout prioritizes aesthetics over functional full-time storage. Owners report that they love looking at it and find constant compromises living in it. The lesson here isn't that prestige vans are bad. It's that full-time living punishes compromises at a completely different rate than part-time use. Whatever the van does wrong, you're going to live with that every single day. Chapter 6. The VW California. The right van for the wrong buyers. In Europe, the VW California remains one of the most lusted-after camper vans on the market. The Ocean Edition, built on the T6.1 and now the T7 platform, is genuinely brilliant engineering. Compact, refined, reliable, and deeply integrated in a way that most larger vans can't match. For couples doing part-time to semi-regular travel in Europe, it's close to perfect. The 2.0 TDI engine is bulletproof. VW dealer network coverage across Europe is unmatched. The pop-up roof system is clever and reliable. It holds its value exceptionally well. For full-time living, it's too small for most people. The California works as a full-time van only if you are disciplined with possessions, comfortable with limited fresh water capacity, and primarily stationary rather than constantly moving. Families should not consider it for full-time use. Retirees planning extended trips who want genuine living comfort will find themselves constantly managing against the van's size limits. The California also reaches 70,000 to 80,000 euros in many European markets in 2026 at Ocean trim. At that price point, you can access Hymer or Posel options with significantly more living capability. Chapter 7. The Overlooked Choices. Hymer, Posel, and the Fiat Ducato Advantage. Here's the van category that serious full-timers in Europe keep coming back to and that American buyers are starting to discover. Fiat Ducato-based Class B motorhomes from builders like Hymer, Bursver, and Posel. The Fiat Ducato 2.3 Multijet is one of the most reliable commercial diesel engines in European history. Inexpensive to service, parts available from Portugal to Poland, and the platform has been refined over decades. Hymer's Van S and XST lineups use this chassis and pair it with factory-engineered living systems, not aftermarket conversions, designed from the ground up for sustained use. For European buyers specifically, the Posel Summit Shine 600L deserves serious attention. Citroën jumper base, 8-speed automatic, a genuinely well-packaged bathroom layout, and fixed beds. At around 57,000 euros, it sits at a price point where most alternatives are either larger motorhomes or significantly compromised van conversions. Under EU regulations, it's fuel-efficient, narrow enough for village roads and mountain passes, and backed by a service network that covers the continent. It's not exciting, it is exceptionally practical, which, after 6 months of full-time living, becomes the only thing that matters. This matters because factory engineering means warranties, integrated electrical systems designed to work together, and factory dealer service. When your conversion builder's solar setup conflicts with your electrical system at kilometer 40,000, you're on your own. When a factory system has that issue, there's a warranty chain. For American buyers, the Ram ProMaster is the closest equivalent to the Ducato platform in terms of parts ubiquity and is increasingly the chassis of choice for serious conversion builders who have moved away from the Sprinter's higher service costs. So, who actually wins? After running everything through the full-time filter, total cost, service access, living capability, real-world reliability, here's my actual verdict. Chapter 8. The verdict. Who should buy what? Full-time traveler in the USA with a $90,000 plus budget. The diesel Sprinter-based conversion from a reputable builder remains the gold standard. Get the OM654 engine. Get a real electrical system, minimum 400 Ah lithium, 400 watts solar. Do not compromise on conversion quality to save money on the build. The van is your home. Build it like one. Full-time traveler in the USA with a $65,000 to $85,000 budget, The Ford Transit High Roof Extended is the smart, honest choice. Comparable living space, dramatically lower maintenance costs, in a service network that can actually support full-time travel across North America. Stop letting Sprinter prestige override practical math. Full-time traveler in Europe, look seriously at Hymer Van S, Exis T, or the Postle Summit Shine 600L before you fall in love with the VW California. You get factory-engineered systems, Fiat Ducato reliability, and living capability the California simply cannot match at a similar or lower price point. Retirees doing 6 to 9 months per year rather than strict full-time, the VW California is genuinely worth considering, only if you're a couple, only if you're traveling Europe specifically, and only if you have a home base for the possessions the van can't carry. Who should not buy the Winnebago Revel for full-time use? Anyone who is not consistently using 4x4 capability. That means most of you. The premium is real. The justification, statistically, is not. The camper van industry in 2026 is incredibly good at selling the dream. What it's less good at is preparing you for the reality of living that dream at full-time scale. The vans that photograph best are not always the vans that live best. The vans that get the most YouTube content are not always the vans that will still be reliably running in year 4. And the van that's right for a weekend warrior with a garage to return to is almost never the same van that's right for someone who parks, sleeps, cooks, works, and lives in their vehicle every single day. Buy for your actual life, not for someone else's highlight reel. The best camper van for full-time living in 2026 is not the most exciting one. It's the one you'll still be happy with after 80,000 miles, when the Instagram filter is long gone, and what you're left with is just a vehicle, a road, and the decision you made. Make that decision with your brain, not your emotions. You'll thank yourself in year 3. Which van are you seriously considering for full-time travel right now, and which one do you think is the most overrated in 2026? Drop both answers in the comments. I read every one, and if a model keeps coming up, I'll build an entire video around it.